Hi, everyone. Tony from Hack the Movies here on another episode of what we're now talking about tapes, even though it's not filmed at the store and it's on Zoom and we're not really talking about a tape. I am here with Asta. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. And today we're talking about Tomb Raider. Oh, I'm sorry. Lara Croft Tomb Raider. This is a movie we both like. I think we're the only ones who might like this.
We're the two people who thumbs up.
Yes. Did anyone else thumb this up? No. No, some guy, or Sandy Newton from CBS TV apparently really liked it. So yeah, we both like this movie. I was really into the games. I think, hold on. Yeah, I have it right here. I have the original one for PlayStation right here. Did you play the games at all?
Well, this is one of those games that I girlfriend played, which means I needed somebody and they wouldn't let me actually handle the controller. So I helped them solve all the puzzles and anything that was actually requiring your brain.
Oh, okay. Did you, I just realized this has turned into a prop comedy thing on accident. I streamed the game a few months back and I still have stuff here. Did you use the Tomb Raider manual, the official authorized edition?
Probably. I also, talking about props.
Oh, I got you that, right?
For me.
Yeah. So yeah, Tomb Raider was huge. Lara Croft was huge. She was the first, besides Mario and Sonic, she felt like the first video game celebrity.
Yeah.
Yeah, where she kind of I guess Mario is the first one. And it's really hard for me to say Mario because I actually say Mario.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of shit for that, but my Italian father says Mario. But okay, I'm trying to say Mario. Lara Croft was, I guess, the first female, or I'm sorry, you're not allowed to say that anymore. First individual experiencing womanhood celebrity from video games. Because she was in everything. We talked about this in the I wrote the AVGN episode. She was in Visa commercials, car commercials, everything you could think of.
There's people keep on thinking there's a lot of virtual influencers now.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, that's so weird. And I'm like, that was basically Lara Croft back in the day.
Yeah.
You'd stand in commercials and
yeah. She was everywhere. There's some weird soda commercial I remember. Yeah. I had to look up when we did that AVGN. I went down the Tomb Raider rabbit hole and I found some weird stuff. And I remember them talking about a movie. I might still have a magazine, but I saw a gaming magazine that was all oh, they're making a Tomb Raider movie. And they had some actress standing in wearing the Tomb Raider outfit. So I was pretty hype. And this came out in 2001. Yeah. It's a real long time ago.
Well, it's just weird because I don't know when this will air, but 9/11 just made me realize that was 9 years ago.
Yeah. Did you remember To Never Forget?
I remember the Alamo.
Oh, okay. So yes, this is from the director of Con Air, one of my favorite schlocky action films. What's his name? Simon West. And sorry, my ring light just flickered for some reason.
The Illuminati.
Yes. And this was the first big blockbuster film with Angelina Jolie, right?
Yeah. I mean, before it was known as kind of being the bad girl in Hollywood, and did the Gia movie, which is one of my favorites.
Yes.
And I even reference it in Volume 1 of New.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Very infamous scene, and that was part of the improvisation. I was like, listen, what that character would do this to is things from Gia. So my rabbit's name is Gia as well, which is a total coincidence. But
that's a total coincidence? You didn't name it after her?
No, I didn't name it. That was my buddy's name when I adopted her, and I was like, it's a sign, because that's my... But yeah, she was the bad girl in Hollywood, and it's crazy because Lara Croft was such a big deal that it was people were Sandra Bullock was up for it. Jennifer Love Hewitt was fighting for it. the first one came out, she was like, if you guys think you fucked up, like, I'll do it.
Oh my God. What was that?
Oh, it's just, the things that happen at the mansion.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, it's did they like try any British women for the role? It kind of feels like that was just overlooked.
British names that were like in contention. I think that if they were doing it with the same approach now, I mean, honestly, I'm going to pretend that the new one didn't come out because I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to ruin like this review, like watching the new one. I mean,
no, that's fine. I wasn't really going to talk about the new one. I like the new one, but I wanted to really focus on this one.
No, but I don't. Yeah. I think if they did. They might have actually considered British actresses because British actresses seem to be taking all of the American actresses' roles now. British roles too, right?
Yeah, so. Yeah. But no, Angelina Jolie, that was a good choice for the time, definitely. And yeah, let's just get into this movie. Okay, it begins with her training. Like, you think she's in like a pyramid, and then a robot shows up.
It's like the video game. You feel like you're in the video game.
Yes. The only issue I have with it, I would have preferred, because let's just say this is trying to be the next James Bond and Indiana Jones, which we'll get to in a little bit. I would have preferred if this was like the end of an actual adventure she was on. And instead of a robot, if it was something supernatural, that way the statues that come to life later in the movie aren't so jarring.
I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it works. It's fun. It's a giant robot. And you know what? To be fair, the first video game, you start off fighting wolves and bats, and by level 3, you're fighting a dinosaur, and by the end of the game, you're fighting a skinless Atlantean demon. So what am I complaining about? I guess it's fine if the supernatural stuff comes in later. But it's a fun scene of her like shooting it, and then like what does it amount to? She gets a like an MP3 player out of it.
Yeah, she turns the very thing that was about to kill her into like her system. But what I love about it is that at any point she could have told it to just like stop.
Yeah.
But like she has the little fight with the tech guy when she comes out and is like, you made it harder, and and it's
yeah. That's one thing I didn't really dig her sidekicks in this. I was never into the Q type guy who makes her gadgets and shit, but the butler really bummed me out because he's like this sassy kind of younger butler, and I like the butler from the video game that you can lock in a refrigerator. So I was when I was a kid, I was expecting the old butler who just kind of goes, oh. Instead, I got this sassy talking guy, and I wasn't into him. But they're fine. That's a nitpick.
Yeah.
But then we get like one of the most important scenes of the movie, and that's the Angelina Jolie shower scene. That was a very important scene.
Vital.
Yeah, very, very vital. Because like, had they not had that scene, I would have been wondering if she showered in between, and I would have been very confused.
She gets very sweaty. And
exactly.
About her getting back knee.
Yes.
Because her smell could attract something evil. I don't know.
Yeah. Very, very important. Nothing wrong with it. Shot perfectly. Not one single issue. We get introduced to the bad guy, and do you know his name? I want to say Ian Glenn.
I think it's Ian Glenn. I think they just pronounce it Ian. Jirah in Game of Thrones.
I never watched Game of Thrones. I'm sorry.
Everybody except for Tony that's watching, he was Jirah on Game of Thrones. And I recently actually watched something of his, which I think is still online, which is he was in a test shoot for a Watchmen. The watching that and then watching the Watchmen and then watching him in this, like recently, I was like, he could have had a very different career. Like he could have but then I think he really was meant to be this Jirah on.
Now, I don't watch the show. Is he a bad guy in that show?
Here's the better answer.
Okay.
No. No one person is good or bad on that show.
Okay. Well, my problem with him is I don't really have a problem. I've seen him a lot in this movie and then those stupid Resident Evil movies that I, for some reason, watched. He's a bad guy in all of those. So I'm used to seeing him as a bad guy. And recently he played Bruce Wayne in the Titans show.
Oh.
And I couldn't get into his Bruce Wayne. He was fine, but like I couldn't get into it because one, I'm so used to seeing him as a bad guy. And two, his American accent is not very good. He tried his best. I give him props for doing the Bat-Tusi. In Titans, Robin, for some reason, is hallucinating Bruce Wayne, and he does the Adam West hands. But anyway, he's good in this movie as the bad guy. He's very evil. You see him, and you're like, that's clearly the bad guy. And then we find out that Lara had a special relationship with her father, who was played by real-life father John Voight.
Which was kind of messed up because it was like her character was working through issues with the dad, but they had more positive memories. And like, real life Angelina was being asked to like kind of make temporary amends with her father for this film.
Yeah. I was going to say, this is like at a point in her career when she needed, I guess, John Voight. Whereas now she's probably hoping people forget the relationship with John Voight.
Well, she's doing everything to just like make that. But I mean, honestly, I don't really think she ever needed him.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's always been. I mean, the thing about this movie, I don't know if you know this, Tony.
Yeah.
She wanted to make sure that the director knew how devoted she was to the filming.
Mm-hmm.
So the rumor was that she said, you know, because at the time, like, they were like, oh, we don't want to take a risk on her because she's this bad girl in Hollywood and all this stuff. He was like, what's it going to take? You can drug test me every day.
Yeah.
And they actually, like, did random drug tests, and she always came up clean and was like, oh, willing to play. But she was like, this was her, like, get clean kind of moment.
Yeah. I think people forget what she was like. This Angelina Jolie, this is Billy Bob Thornton Angelina Jolie, which they had to airbrush her tattoo that she had of him.
Yeah. And they gave up. And actually, that's part of the reason she wears as much clothing as she does, because they couldn't consistently cover it up.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, okay, you're just going to wear like a bracelet or you're going to wear pants in this scene. Like, it just. Yeah.
So yeah, her father's John Voight. He died mysteriously, I guess.
Not in real life.
Not in real life. Not in real life. He's still very much alive. Cut to a video.
Biden is evil. Trump must win.
She finds this relic inside a clock, which is the eye of something. Do you remember what the hell it's supposed to be?
Well, it starts to activate because of this, like, galactic whatever.
Yeah, there's like a planetary alignment. There's something linked with this eye that will show them where these two triangles are. Yeah. But the eye looks similar to the Scion from the first game. That was the MacGuffin you were trying to get in the first game. And look, I've heard people pronounce it Scion, but it's spelled like my car, so I'm saying Scion. But that was also a disc-shaped thing, so I like that reference. So she has to go figure out what the hell this thing is, and she motorcycles to an auction to the most 2000 soundtrack I ever heard in my life.
Before you go any further, you're skipping past a few kind of telling things about this style is they really, really try to ham into this idea that she's just like fighting this femininity. Like
right.
Constantly like, no, like I want to wear this like, 90s minimalist athlete. Yeah. What do you think? Athleisure? How do you say it?
I couldn't tell you.
Somebody, how do you say it? I know there's some words I don't know how to say out loud, but it's like, in that like late 90s, early 2000s, everyone was wearing like track suits and like the Spice Girl bra that. She's just like, I'm not a girl like that. It was very much like.
Yes. Even though she is individual experiencing womanhood, she does not act fully like an individual experiencing womanhood. So yeah, I really like the auction scene.
Yes.
Where the guy waves at her and she waves and it's like, all right, going for $2 million. And she like looks really nervous for a little bit. Yeah. Cause I kind of like that she's not perfect.
Yeah.
So she probably could afford that relic or whatever, but you can tell she doesn't want it. And she's like, oh shit. It's just like kind of looking around for people to do this. And she's not all like she knew what the thing was, but she needed more information on it. She needs those guys' help. Because like that's one thing I really like about this movie, that she's not perfect. Because the best heroes aren't like 100% perfect all the time.
No, because like a good hero, like in a hero's journey, is who allows like different failures and lessons to teach them. So unteachable, it means you've reached a certain like sensei, like ultimate understanding. But even then, like the spirituality in this movie like hints at you never stop learning.
Yeah.
So you have to be a flawed person, and you have to, like, she's very like, you know, moves by the seat of her pants, and like,
but like a lesser movie would have had her like buying it, no problem, being like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I think people take for granted about this particular movie is they could have made her like an overly sleek badass.
Yeah.
Especially with the sequences with her dad and like, you know, even like the way she rebels against any idea of traditional femininity, like shows how she is very fragile, and how like her being fragile is like what makes her so rugged. Like she's very like offensive as defense.
Yeah. And I mean, like, because they had to add that, because in the video game, she's just super badass, because, you know, the story's not really that important in the game. But so it was cool that they added a little bit of those touches. And I think one of the games, it's not her dad, but she has like an older mentor that you play her when she was young at one point. So they did bring some stuff in. And here's the ultimate irony of this movie that's trying to be the next James Bond. It accidentally introduced the next James Bond because Daniel Craig shows up trying his best at an American accent.
And I actually, like, when I rewatched it recently and then I rewinded and I just kept doing a double take between him at the first time we see him and then later.
Yeah.
I straight up, his hair color changes.
Oh, it does? I didn't catch on to that.
And I was like, okay, at first it's like this ruddy, like red, rusty red color when you first, and then later it's like dark blonde or something like really, but it's like, did they change their mind and then?
But yeah, no, he's pretty good in this. He's like a former lover / rival to her. He's kind of like, if the Belloc from Indiana Jones, if him and Indiana Jones were fucking, it would be these two.
That tension there.
Yeah. And he actually calls her Tomb Raider. He actually name drops the title of the movie, which I always enjoy. She goes to an old guy who tells her, he's all like, oh, I don't know if I can tell you about this. And then later he changes his mind. Turns out he's involved with the bad guys. But the main takeaway from that scene is Lara apparently can't read microwave instructions. I thought that was odd. She blows up her meal. So when you meet Ian Glenn, he's so evil. Like, he's not even trying. Like, he's like, oh, what an interesting clock. I don't know anything about this clock. It's so mysterious to me. And like, I think even she's like, well, he's lying. Like, it's so like he should have just came out and been like, by the way, I'm the bad guy of the movie. I want this. I'm taking this.
Well, I mean, that's the thing though. Like, in that particular world, nobody has like straight up allegiances per se.
Yeah.
Like she's clearly learned and like traveled and explored by getting to work with people that may not be the most savory characters to the Queen of England, but so I think that saying that he's an obvious evil isn't necessarily that, but he is to her because there is the person who gets this power can control time.
Yeah. You know, by the way, the MacGuffin is a thing that can control time. I think I forgot to mention that. I mentioned that there was a MacGuffin, but I forgot like what it did. It's funny you say that she's well-traveled because I think this movie is trying to say that it exists in the universe as the games. Like, this is just another adventure for Lara. Because I think later on in the movie, they're like, oh, we're saving the world again. And it's like, wait, when the hell did they save the world the first time? It doesn't, if that's the case, later on, soon I'm going to talk about how that doesn't quite work. But yeah, so we cut to her mansion, and Lara just loves to do air acrobatics. What do they call that?
Oh, bungee ballet.
Bungee ballet.
Actually, the first time she did it, she actually damaged her ankle tendons.
Ooh.
And it set back filming. Like,
yeah, that sucks.
It like pulled, but so it was pretty difficult for her. Well,
what I think the irony is, I think they want it because early 2000s, like late 90s, wire fu. Everyone loved their wire fu. Every goddamn movie needed to have a wire fu fight scene. And I think this film wanted to do that, but they didn't want to go through the trouble of digitally removing wires. So they're like, oh, screw it. She's doing bungee ballet. And also the bad guys are on bungee cords coming through the thing. And everyone's on wires, and we don't have to digitally remove the wires.
It's also kind of cool because around that time, you started to see more like tourist experiences open up.
Mm-hmm.
Bungee jump where you could spelunk and all that kind of thing. So, well, this is just another one of those luxuries for her. I'm constantly seeking adrenaline, but this is what I do on my off time. So
yes. No, it definitely works. I think they just wanted a wire fu thing, but you're right, because there was a lot of extreme stuff in the early 2000s.
Like Brookstone, like people buy stuff at Brookstone.
Yeah.
That maybe probably dates me, or like Sharper Image.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well let me just buy myself a bungee ballet kit.
Exactly. But it also kind of feels like the game, because in the games, I think like 2 onward, if you didn't know how to play the game, you would train in Lara's mansion and you would practice your acrobatics and all your stuff in the mansion. So that seems like something Lara would do. Like, well, let me practice bungee ballet. Why not? But it actually is a cool scene when the bad guys come in.
Yeah.
But there's one thing I notice in this scene. Lara doesn't use her guns on people. Did you pick up on that?
Could it be that she values life?
If this is the Lara from the video game, fucking no. Let me tell you what Lara doesn't value in the video games, especially ones from the 90s. Fucking life. Yeah, I know. I was watching it, and I know it's PG-13. The Mortal Kombat movie did the same thing where they didn't do any of the gore, but there was still kind of death in that movie. But this one, it looks like she's going out of her way not to kill people, especially with guns. Because think about it, she only uses the guns on the monsters in the movie.
Maybe. Okay, so you say she only uses a gun on the monsters, right? So
yes.
Level. So maybe Lara Croft in the movie is thinking like Lara Croft in like a video game level and is like, I'm going to save my artillery for the big boss.
Oh, you got...
But I'm not going to waste my ammunition because I might not have a refill point. I'm not going to waste my ammunition on the henchmen. I'm going to save the big boss.
You put way more thought into it than I think even the filmmakers did. Okay, so then there's this one scene. Well, during the shootout, Lara finds all her car keys.
Are you okay?
I just found my car keys.
Now, I wasn't sure that this could be one of 2 things.
Yeah.
This could be a woman be losing they keys joke, because women be losing they keys.
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Or, and I'm going to go with this one because it's nicer. It could be a reference to how in the games Lara is always looking for keys to open up doors. And it'd be funny that even at home she has to look for her keys. I think that's funny. But I think it might be the previous one.
Okay, so then if it's the woman be looking for their keys, then maybe the microwave thing is a dig at her too. It's like, ooh, woman not be domestic enough, or why am I speaking like this? Why am I speaking like this?
I don't know. But all right, so back to the not. Here's the problem though with not shooting people. Tell me how this helps her conserve resources. So she gets on the motorcycle. She's got the Uzi.
Yeah.
She could shoot the guys in front of her, while she's in air for a really long time, but that's a whole different thing. Instead, she shoots a propane thing that blows up her entire car garage and all her cars. I think it would have been better if she just shot the guy. I don't know. Maybe that's me. I don't know.
Maybe. Because I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah. Oh, you're here. You're there.
I'm at the mansion.
Yeah.
Maybe more damage is a bigger insurance payout.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she is smart with money. She is smart with money. She can always blame it on those guys. You're right. You're right.
I mean, if she just gets a couple little bullet scratches.
Yeah.
That's not going to get a payout.
No, not at all.
The whole garage.
Yeah.
Get some new models.
Exactly. I do like the next scene, though, when the guy goes to deliver her the letter from her dad. And he's like looking around. She's like, I hated everything.
I hate everything. She grabs her coffee, too, and it's just like,
yeah, she's like totally nonchalant. I like that. I kind of like that. She's like, yeah, this is a thing that happens. Whatever. The
guy doesn't even bat an eyelash. He's just like, women. Modeling things.
Yep. They be losing their keys too. But he basically says, hey, the location of the thing is where you get these flowers that are important to us. And we see the little flashback with her and the flowers. I like the flashbacks with her dad. It helps build her as a character. So then she's like, all right, well, I got to go to Cambodia. And apparently she's friends with mercenaries or something.
If she wants to get into certain places, you got to make friends with the right people or the wrong people.
And I had my notes here. I noticed halfway through the movie, she never wears her iconic outfit. She wore the short shorts with a black tank top, but she never wears tan short shorts with a blue top. And I thought that was bizarre because this isn't like, at this point in like movies, you had like the X-Men movies that were too embarrassed, or the Batman movies that were too embarrassed to do the superhero costumes, so they made it like black leather. But like Lara Croft's outfit, that's not something you have to like make real. It's just normal clothes. So I thought it was bizarre they never put her in the outfit once. I don't know.
Maybe they were trying to do the thing where they make their own, take on her.
I guess, but like...
Because here's the thing. If you had put her in the iconic outfit... Yeah. It would have just been nonstop scrutinizing the differences and the similarities. But
maybe.
Like her version of it, which I kind of have my version today. I'm wearing a black tank top. I have some green shorts on.
Oh, okay.
And I actually dressed up. I'll send you photos if I can find them. But I dressed Croft for Halloween one year.
I mean, I've dressed up like Lara Croft many times for videos I'm not allowed to make anymore.
Maybe they find the right padded bra for that outfit or something.
Oh, yeah, we should mention. All right, so Angelina Jolie, she's wearing a padded bra in this movie. She nixed it for the second movie. And then the third movie, it's the girl has a lower cup size. So each movie of Tomb Raider, her boobs get smaller. I don't know if that affects anyone's viewing. I'm not going to say anything about that. The bad guys are trying to tear down this entrance to this temple.
They're using like basically slave labor.
Yeah, slave labor and ropes. And it's like, get some dynamite, you assholes. Like, I assume you're in the Illuminati. You could get some explosives to blow that door. You don't need 10,000 people pulling ropes. But like, it's kind of funny because Lara's just driving around. She finds the back door to the place. It's like this big temple that's just out in the open. And it's like, did the bad guys not look around? Like, she found that on accident.
They don't think. I'm really trying to use a phallus to like open it, right? And he's just trying to like enter Yanni imagery. It's very XY. I mean, it's
yes. But yeah, so she finds it pretty easily. Now, I texted you earlier, I think, about this. Every time I watch this movie, I forget that there's a ghost girl in it.
Yeah, it's almost like the fairy in Zelda, was it? Like the Zelda games? Like
I guess.
Samus had a what game have?
There were no fairies in Metroid, if you're talking about Samus. You're probably talking about Zelda.
In Metroid, Samus had wasn't there like a little virtual simulation
I'm going to be honest, I didn't really play a lot of Metroid. When I was
gamer.
I am a fake gamer. When I was a kid, we were playing Smash Brothers, and I called Samus Metroid because I thought it was a guy called Metroid. I didn't know. There's a ghost girl that's all like, "I'm a ghost girl," spooky message, and then Lara Croft's like, "Oh, there's the flowers," and then she falls through a hole in the ground. I still don't know what the ghost girl is up.
I think they play with this idea that like Lara Croft is just in tune with everything.
I guess the spirit of a ghost girl. I don't know.
Probably like I don't know.
So she goes into the temple. They all end up there, and they have to. It's real convoluted. It feels like the game where you have to do this puzzle to figure out something. But unlike the game, if you screw up, Lara gets murdered violently. That doesn't happen in the movie, obviously. When they're in there, I noticed Lara wanting this artifact is not in tune with her wanting to save the world, because all she has to do, and this is the same with Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. People always point out that if Indiana Jones did nothing, everything would have been fine. And in this movie, if Lara just did nothing, they would have missed the deadline, and they would have had to wait another 5,000 years to do their evil plan, in which time Lara could just blow up that temple so no one ever does the evil plan. But she wants that artifact so bad that she actually helps them, even though it's a detriment to all of mankind.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny. I thought that was interesting watching it.
There's a lot of really weird senses of morality in this film, like what's okay, and also what's just like what she could have worked out in therapy to work out through this like time wormhole like hope thing.
Yeah, like I get she wants the thing, but if you know that there is a possibility that the world will end and they won't have another shot at doing this for another 5,000 years, don't help them. Just don't help them. But she does help them, and it's a pretty fun scene. She puts the key in the thing, and she's swinging on the giant needle that stabs a... Is that Shiva? I don't know what that is.
Giant phallus.
Yes, the giant phallus.
Giant phallus.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yes, and I kind of like the chemistry between her and Daniel Craig in that scene.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's working for the bad guys, but they're like talking, and he's all like 30 seconds, 29. Hi, Lara, 28 seconds, 20. I kind of like that.
Well, you know, it's funny because he's working for the bad guys, but no, he's working for himself.
Yeah.
So he has no allegiances. Like, it's just like, these are people giving me the money.
Yeah.
Like, she could help me get the money too. You know, it's like.
Yeah. He's not in the Illuminati. They just went to him.
Or this is his evil twin because, like I said, the hair is completely different.
It could be the evil twin. So anyway, she spills the liquid that goes into the thing that does the thing, and then the T-1000 comes out.
I know. I was surprised. I was looking at the IMDb for the T-1000 to see if they do anything after T2.
Well, the T-1000 shows up in this, and it brings all the statues to life, and it's like, this is in the video game, this would be totally fine.
Yeah.
In the movie, though, it's kind of like jarring because we haven't seen anything really supernatural yet, and we're like midway through the movie, so it kind of just comes out of nowhere.
It's kind of hinted at, though, because, like, you know, when going back to the beginning, when the clock is first introduced, she's woken up by it from the inside. Like,
I guess, yeah.
I guess you would have to like have that sense. Like, they try to enter that woman's intuition as like a power.
Yeah, I just think like getting back to like the first scene, I think the end of an adventure with another monster would have like eased us into this, because like just because it's just like, oh, suddenly there's a monkey statue wielding an axe. You're like, oh, okay.
She's so like unfazed by it. Like this.
I know. Well, again, if this is
things ever happen to her, you know, and it's like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if this is Lara from the games, then she's seen weirder shit than this, and this shouldn't bother her at all. But no, that's a fun scene, because that's a scene where you actually get to see her use her guns, because she's not shooting people. And yeah, she really, really kicks ass. And then there's always the joke, and we did this in AVGN, where her bag just has infinite ammo.
Oh yeah.
Because in the first game, your handguns never run out of ammo, and they try to come up with like a realistic reason where like the bag has all these clips that come down, and then she like swaps out the other clip to save time. It's ridiculous, but I thought it was awesome. And then it actually feeling like the game once she takes out all the the henchmen, she gets to fight the boss, which is the big 6-armed statue, which smiles at her, which I thought was interesting.
It's very menacing.
Much like the game, she shoots the hell out of it. Doesn't do as many backflips.
Yeah.
So see, when you play Tomb Raider, you have to constantly be backflipping and side flipping while you're shooting or you're dead.
Padded bra probably couldn't, because it might have inverted.
Right. I mean, if we're gonna sacrifice flipping for bigger boobs, I think that's a really great sacrifice. And then we get a scene from The Fugitive. Daniel Craig like has her by like the waterfall, and then she jumps, and I'm like, really? We're still cashing in on The Fugitive? I thought that was bizarre. And then me and you, both of our notes, I noticed we had this same exact note.
Yes, which I'm gonna beat you to the punch and say it.
Okay.
He sips on some immortality.
That's a very clever pun.
I did not deliver that as great as I thought I was going to, but the line he says, so this monk gives her this tea.
Yes.
And he says this line, I had to write it down because I didn't remember this.
Yeah.
It tastes bad, but it will do good for you.
And it heals her wound.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, these Buddhist monks have immortality? Like, I feel like Lara should be like telling people, this seems like a big deal, right?
I think I actually bought some in Brooklyn once and didn't even.
Oh, okay.
Weird tea. Like do you hear it? Like there's like this monkey tea where like monkeys eat it and poop it, and then you make tea, or like the monkeys pick it, and so it's like somehow like more sacred. But they're into monkey tea. That's a thing also.
Oh, okay. So I love when she meets back up with the bad guy at the Illuminati headquarters, which I believe is in Venice, Italy. So I don't know why they're dragging my people into this. I mean, my family's not from Venice, but Italy still. I love where he's like trying to do his bad guy speech, and she's like, who sits in this big chair? And he's like dancing around, and she's like, you don't sit in the big. I love that so much.
And she's like literally just trying to make him feel like this small.
Yeah. And then he's like, I sit on the seat next to it like a cool guy. Just like, oh, yeah, that's nice. Whatever.
He's like, I know what'll do it. I'm going to bring up her dad.
Yeah. Which, I mean, look, I have experience. If you want to get a girl angry, I'm sorry, an individual experiencing womanness angry, you bring up her dad. I feel like he knows what he's doing. He's evil. I know what he's doing. But this next scene is just, it's the worst scene in the movie. The Daniel Craig shower scene, it's totally unnecessary and gratuitous. You know, our heroes shouldn't be sexualized like this in film. The director should be ashamed. I don't think it contributed anything to the plot. It's the worst scene in the movie. Do you agree with me?
I plead the fifth.
Good.
Because I'm a married woman.
Oh, okay. All right. So where do they go? They go somewhere in the snow. I forget where they go. Sure, Iceland. We'll just say
I saw Iceland on the filming location, so I feel like
I think they filmed in Iceland, but I don't think it was supposed to take place there. But no matter where they are, apparently the Cambodian ghost girl shows up. Yeah, and she's like, "Hey, don't do that. Don't do what you're gonna do just because you want to see your dad."
No, it's like that thing takes a local girl's voice. There's no ghosts in that scene.
You sure? I thought it was the same girl.
And they're getting the dogs and stuff?
Yeah. I thought that was the same girl from the Cambodia scene.
Yes,
I'll have to check the cat. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Yeah, so she gets like warned, like, hey, don't do this. You're bad, maybe. And this is, it wasn't until this scene that I started to notice this. This movie has beautiful sets.
Oh, yeah.
The sets in this movie are like amazing.
Yeah.
The digital matte shots and digital paintings of locations look absolutely horrible, and they have not aged well at all. Like when they're like going to like the digital like mountain where the final temple is, it looks so bad. And I say this as someone who made a fake matte shot for the Tomb Raider AVGN episode. I'm aware that I cannot do better, but I also had a significantly less budget to work with. So I noticed that. I'm like, wow, like a lot of work went into the sets, and like I just wish a little extra time went into like the matte shots and the CGI and stuff. But I like the planetarium room that they're in.
Yeah. With
the big orbs. And actually, if you play Rise of the Tomb Raider, one of the second in the reboots that they did, there's a room, one of the tombs you go in, it's pretty much this room. It's a room full of orbs that you got to get in a certain way. And I'm like, oh, that's like, the games don't really reference the movies too much, so I thought that was kind of interesting that they did that. What's it called? Daniel Craig dies. Bad guy kills Daniel Craig.
Well, he tests her.
Yes.
He's like, you're going to make this time travel thing work, otherwise this guy's fate is death.
Right. So she makes it work with like a laser pointer and a piece of a meteor and whatnot. And then I had to write it down here because it was very confusing about what happened. So they get teleported back in time to a pyramid that we saw earlier in the movie. It was the civilization that got wiped out. And inside that pyramid is a smaller pyramid that they have to run up to grab the triangle. It's so ridiculous. And then the bad guy falls to his death in a very terrible green screen. And then she meets her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she time travels to her dad. And he's all like, whoa, you time traveled.
He knows it's there. Because this is kind of like a pocket in time.
Yeah.
Doesn't have like entanglement or like any of those, you know, like, oh, if you see your same version, you implode, or Marty McFly will never be. And
and that's a really good scene. I think sorry, what was that?
It has nothing to do with this movie, so nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they team up.
She goes back in time and she doesn't say, hey, Dad, don't join Twitter.
These leftists are not for the American people. It's the biggest cover-up ever.
But no, he's basically all like, hey, messing with time, that's not good. Don't do that. Now go back into the future. But yeah, so the knife thing is pretty cool. So she goes back to like right when he threw the knife, and she like spins it around. And you actually get a little bit of blood in that scene, which is nice. Because like there's no blood in this movie at all. And I want to point out one other thing Lara loves to do that's not in this movie. Lara loves to kill animals. She kills animals all day, like dog. Like when the wolves showed up in this movie, I'm like, well, clearly she's gonna shoot them. But yeah, so like that's why I was happy seeing a little bit of blood, because it's a very bloodless movie. Takes care of the bad guy. He has her like pocket watch with her mom in it. So this is another part that feels out of character. They point the guns at each other, and then he does the classic bad guy thing. He's like, no guns, let's fight with honor or whatever. And Lara Croft from the game would have just shot him in the head as soon as he said that. Like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, that's why it feels like a different character. I'm like, no, Lara Croft would have just shot him and backflipped away. But she wanted to show off her fighting moves, and to her credit, the fighting moves are really, really good. It's a really fun fight scene, and she wins in the end.
Yeah. She has to wear a dress.
Yes. But before that, she has to escape, because, like with all these movies, the place is being destroyed for some reason. She finds the dog sled, and she does a little aha
Yeah.
The aha is something Lara does in the game when she finds like a secret area or a secret item. You would find it and she would go, aha. And I'm like, all right, that's a fun little nod. It's not a distracting nod. But as someone who's played the game and played it recently, I enjoyed that. And then you're right. At the very end, she wears a dress.
Has like the floppy hat.
Yeah.
And then she like takes it off. She puts it on the thing, and then she like is presented the silver platter. With,
yeah. So she's
like
but like
everything, and then she finally is like, okay, I can be chill. I'll be a lady. And then they're like,
she can be both.
Yeah, she can be both.
Why not both? But yeah, but I love when she's wearing the dress, the butler drops everything. Yeah. Like it's the biggest shock of his life. I'm like, all right, it's not that big of a deal, buddy. Calm down. But yeah, so the robot comes out. They fix the robot.
And then wait for it. Where's your head?
By the Basement Jacks, I think. I can't tell you another song they did, but that song is great.
And I don't know if there were more versions of it, but do you remember the music video for that?
Yes, with their faces are on monkeys, right?
Yeah.
Horrifying.
No.
But followed by a song I don't like, U2's Elevation. I don't really like. Are you into U2? I'm not into U2.
I mean, I can't forgive them for forcibly loading music onto my phone. Like I didn't ask for that. Like,
yeah, I forgot about that.
It took years for me to figure out how to delete it. I was like, I didn't ask for like.
Oh, but yeah, so it ends on that with her about to shoot the big robot, and yeah. So here we kind of poke fun at the movie, but I legitimately like this movie. I think it's one of the better video game movies out there. And like, I think when a lot of people shit on this, I think they're thinking of like the sequel, which is really bad, which as much as I love this movie, do not watch this. I mean, we might come back and talk about the sequel, but you out there should not watch the sequel.
Not necessary.
No, but this one is a lot of fun. I think 11. I've said what 11-year-old Tony thought of the movie. He was a big fan of it. He really enjoyed it. But as a young individual experiencing girlhood, what did you think of this movie? What did it mean to you?
I was already a big Angelina Jolie fan, just in the sense that like I just gravitated towards that wild girl that she was. And so it was really neat to see Hollywood like take this chance on her. But I mean, I think all the different things you're poking fun of about the movie, ultimately they work because they made her a star. Like she had this charisma and she reined it in a little bit. And like every scene just works because she's just like, first of all, she's sexy, but it's not in like it's not like in this overt like you know, I mean, I would totally like hang up a picture of her, but I'm saying like she's not like this traditional sex kitten type that you would expect. She's like
she's not like Pamela Anderson and Barbed Wire or something like that. She's not that. She's like,
it's sexy that you don't know what she's gonna do next. It's like she could like bite your lip or kiss you. You don't know like what's gonna happen. And I think that's when I watched that growing up, seeing her in this role, I just remember being like, this is a level beyond just like simply tomboy. It's like she's like fun. And I her, you know, I have like done, because of seeing this movie and Lara Croft in general, I've done martial arts, I've done defense stuff. I even did like this adrenaline junkie weekend where I jumped off of cliffs in Wales, just trying to be my own version of that. And so
and like all the things not so much her, but the things I was poking fun of in the movie, a lot of that is just a product of its time, and it's a lot better than a lot of action. But like I'm thinking like My ultimate go-to of like early 2000 shitty, schlocky, aged horribly movie is Die Another Day, the 007 movie. This is 100% better than Die Another Day. It's better than Triple X with Vin Diesel.
I've never seen that, so I have.
You don't need to see it. I can't believe they did a third one a few years ago. So there were a lot of like really. Angelina Jolie was in worse movies that came out at that time. I'm not a big fan of Gone in 60 Seconds. I thought that movie was really bad. But no, this is better than most movies were at that time. It has a lot of their issues, but it's not as bad as them. And I think young girls, this could be a gateway for them into like action adventure films. As long as they can get over, because some of the effects are really dated. If they can get over that, I can see like a little girl, like my sister is younger than me, and we saw this in theaters and she loved it. So yeah, I think it's a good gateway for that. I think out of all the video game movies, it's pretty much up there. I know that's not really hard to do, but it's pretty much up there. And yeah, it's just an overall good time.
Yeah, and like it kind of just washes over you because after you finish watching it, you're kind of mind wiped. They just had like Bono yelling, "Woo!" and you're like, melted, and so then you're like, okay, what did I remember? Okay, good. I remember my name. I remember where my keys are.
Okay.
And I remember that Angelina Jolie had this little like smirk, and she like charmed us, and that isn't easy because she has to kind of navigate the Lara Croft like calm demeanor while like doing a million things.
Yeah.
Some other female action stars before this, they won't let you know all the effort. You know, like they're doing all this stuff, and I feel like
I'm thinking like I think this gets a pass because it was kind of a comedy, but like the Charlie's Angels movie, which I also really like, that's another one where they're doing like ninja backflips and they're all perfect and there's nothing wrong. It's like, okay, all right.
I consider that movie a comedy more than anything. Like,
yeah. But I mean, like the action scenes, like these feel a little bit more, I don't want to say realistic, but she feels more like an action hero, more instead of just like a caricature.
It's because she brings that calmness, which is funny because I was reading that apparently she's, at the time at least, was really scared of like snakes and stuff and like animals. And so driving her through the forest, like they had to keep doing it because she kept like
See, now if she was really like Lara Croft, she would just shoot those snakes until they were dead. But yeah, so that was our review of Tomb Raider. I'm glad we finally got to do this. This is one I wanted to do on rental reviews, and we never got around to it. And I couldn't have asked for a better host for this episode. Asta, what are you up to? What are you doing these days?
Well, I started doing a podcast.
Yes.
Channel thing, so that's been fun. I had you on there. You were like my second episode.
Yes. Chatting with Asta.
Yeah, chatting with Asta.
Not chatting with Asta. It's chatting with Asta. Yeah, it's a really great show. I watch it all the time. You just did what's her name? Alex Esso, right?
Interviewed Alex Esso.
Yes. You interviewed her. That's what I meant. Sorry. It's a show where she interviews. I don't want to get too raunchy here. No, you interviewed Alex Esso, and that was a really great interview. For those of you who don't know, she was in Starry Eyes, and she was Wendy in Dr. Sleep. Yeah,
and really chilled out. I mean, it's been great because, so when I did this is like my second season right now.
Yeah.
But like early on when I started it, during this lockdown, I was doing like 5-6 episodes a week.
Yeah.
And I like took a break and now I'm doing 1 episode a week, but it's been great because a lot of people in the first season, I got to talk to them before things got really dark.
Yeah.
It's like each guest now, it's like, okay, you're my one like social treat of the week.
Yes.
And so now I'm like just reaching out to people, and most of them are people I already know, like you. And
yeah.
But Alex is someone that has been in my kind of circle for a little while, and like we're friends on social media, but this was a great context to have a talk. So I feel like this is a fun show, and I really try. At the beginning, I think it was different, but I try not to have any kind of real format anymore because I have the most random discoveries that way. Like it just becomes. So if you enjoy listening to me ramble with people, and this is your show, and it's also a podcast now on Spotify and Apple.
Yes, and I love it because we don't really get to hang out anymore. So it's fun just to hear you like chat and stuff. And you also did the cast of Host, the Shudder film Host.
Interviewed the cast of Host.
I'm sorry.
You're hooking me up with orgies with like.
The people watching me, they know what I'm talking about.
I'm just messing with you. But that was my season 2 opener.
Yeah.
I'm good friends with Jed Shepard, who was a writer and producer of Host.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen it yet, like, where have you been? Oh my God, this is
good. It's good.
The best thing to come out of this whole situation.
Check that out on your YouTube channel and Spotify and iTunes. I have a podcast now.
Yeah, the Godzilla one, right?
Yes, Castzilla versus the Pod Monster. So we're talking about Godzilla stuff, and great having you on. Yeah. And I'm gonna go now.